What's up, guys? Today I am going to go over my top 20 favorite Pokemon. And before the top 20, there will be 6 or 7 honorable mentions. Let's get started. My first honorable mention is Smoliv and Arbolivia. I put these two together because they're in the same evolution line, obviously. When some of the first few Paldea Pokemon were released and shown, I looked at this Pokemon and I thought, man, I gotta have this immediately because I thought Smoliv was so cute. Turned out that I could get it really quickly, so that was really nice. And it was pretty solid for the league, especially for the ground type Elite Four trainer. My second honorable mention is Clodsire. Again, when I saw Paldean Wooper in Gen 9, I thought, oh man, that means it's gonna have a different form, right? And it obviously did. And so when I evolved it, I thought it was super cool, super cute Clodsire. I never really liked Quagsire because it just kind of looked quirky, but I think Clodsire is a complete upgrade and way cuter and way better in general because it has water absorb, which means it'll take no damage from water type. I used this for my Paldea playthrough as well. My third honorable mention is two Pokemon, being Cradily and Armaldo. When I first started playing Pokemon Go, Lilip and Anorith were everywhere, and along with Baniri, but I think when I evolved those two Pokemon, I thought I liked them a lot better than Baniri's evolution, and so I used those two in the Battle League so many times that I just grew to love them, and Armaldo's blue, which is really nice. I don't use Cradily as much in playthroughs as I do Armaldo, but I nicknamed my Armaldo Death Star in Pokemon Go because I thought that the X-Scissor that it was using for its fast attack was kind of like a Death Star beam, so that's why I named him Death Star. I also used him in my first Pearl playthrough, Armaldo, and because my brother had a Game Shark or some cheat on the DS, he was able to make maximum amount of claw fossils, which means I traded an Anorith from his Diamond save to my Pearl save, and then I leveled up Anorith to Armaldo to like 66 or like 64 to beat the league with some other Pokemon, and it was so easy for the league because all my Pokemon were so over leveled, and because my brother had a Game Shark or something, he was able to also get max rare candies, so I just leveled up my team unless if they were ever under leveled. Okay, my fourth honorable mention is for Alligator, and thanks to Legends ZA, it now has a Mega, and I can actually use it in a playthrough because I've actually never been able to use for Alligator in a playthrough. So this was actually definitely a fun game to use it with. I think Feraligator's a little weaker than I would like it to be, especially in its base form. I think it only has like 105 attack. But I still think that its Mega and its regular form are so cool. And I was so happy to actually play any Pokemon game with it because I never played Heart Gold, Soul Silver, or just Gold and Silver. So I never actually was able to play the game, or Coliseum, and I never got to get Feraligatr really early in the game, so that was nice that I could do that. Plus, Feraligatr in the Go Battle League is so good. With Shadow Claw as its fast move and Hydro Cannon, it almost rips through any team, unless it's a grass or electric Pokemon. It's so good in Pokemon Go. The reason it's not higher on this list is because I've only used him in one playthrough and all the way to the end in ZA, which is nice. But I just think that Feraligator's Mega, it's okay, but I guess they could have done a little bit more than just making it a Totodile reference. But I still think it's nice that he got anything in general. My next honorable mention is Zygarde, because ever since Legends ZA came out, I think the way the game's graphics are, I really liked Zygarde way more in this game, especially its story in the game. Plus, I think he's super powerful, and I'm kind of sad that he's not really good in competitive. Hopefully its Mega will give it some competitive viability. Plus, its Shiny is really good, and it got its Mega, so that was really nice. The only thing is that I'm not really sure why Xerneas and Yveltal didn't get a Mega or anything, or weren't even in the story until the very end, or like the post-game. That was kind of annoying. Okay, so the final honorable mention is Whiscash. I like this Pokemon because it's blue and it's a catfish, and I like fishing. And when I was playing my Shining Pearl first playthrough, I used this Pokemon because I thought it was pretty cool, and I knew what it was. And I had been battling the Sinnoh champion so many times over and over and over because my team was so underleveled. And so finally, I got to her last Pokemon, Garchomp, and Whiscash was like 1 level over Garchomp, and it hit Fissure, which was so crazy. I think Whiscash was like my last Pokemon, and I would have died to any attack, but it hit, and then my game crashed, and so I crashed out, and then I had to redo that battle because it didn't save, and I had beaten Cynthia, but it didn't save, obviously, and I couldn't save in between it, so it was just so annoying. Okay, now we're in the top 20. Most of these Pokemon on this list are here because I used them for my first run of the game or for a good amount of time and have a strong bond with those specific Pokemon. Jolteon is definitely one of them. When I first started playing XD, I watched a walkthrough, and the person chose the Thunderstone, so I did as well because I thought that Jolteon was the best for the run and not that he was just using it because he liked it. That's what I'm guessing. So I spent the rest of the story with Jolteon, and I loved it. My original Jolteon, I think, has all electric moves, proving that as a little kid, I had no clue what I was doing, you know, and had no coverage moves. But I also used it in my first Leaf Green playthrough, and it's pretty good, especially with I think it's a 120 base speed stat, so it's really fast and can get some KOs pretty easily, especially in Gen 3 since there's not a whole lot of power creep. But in XD, I think it was a lot better since there were so many water types that I remember, and most of the type matchups were just pretty good for it. So it was just pretty consistent in that game. Plus, for my third playthrough of XD, I actually learned that you can get Thunder Wave for Jolteon, and since in Gen 3, that's 100% accurate, I used that for catching Shadowmon. My Jolteon from XD also has the 100 trainer battle ribbon, which means like it battled through 100 trainers non-stop without switching my team. And I'm trying to move that Jolteon and some others up to Pokemon Home, but I haven't done that yet. I'm still trying to. Hopefully, I can get Pokemon Black and White for Christmas, and I can finally finish the progress of moving the Pokemon in my Diamond save up to Black and White, and then up to Pokemon Home at some point. But I don't know how long that'll take. Number 19 is Phalanx. I always liked this Pokemon, and I was super happy when I got my first shiny in ZA. I definitely used that because it was shiny, obviously, and all good trainers use their shiny Pokemon they get in their playthroughs. Also, I just think Phalanx is really cute, and I think it's kind of like Greek-oriented, and I really love Greek mythology, so I also really loved that part of Phalanx. Another part is that it's really nice that Phalanx got a Mega Evolution, so I was able to use that in my playthrough. Number 18 is Cloyster. I love the design and the shiny color, though I never got the shiny yet. I used Cloyster in XD once, but when I purified it and used it, it was so much of a grind that I think I dropped it for the last battle because it just wasn't that good and didn't do anything. But I still love the design and hope to get a shiny soon. Number 17 is Exeggutor. I think Exeggutor's smile sprite is so cute, and its regular appearance is just cool in general. My first playthrough of Leaf Green, I used Exeggutor, but then I forgot and didn't know only Execute could learn decent grass moves, and Exeggutor learned none. So I had to catch another Execute and then level that up and then evolve it before evolving it with a Leaf Stone immediately. But I used it for the Leaf Green League, and I thought it was pretty good for Lorelei, especially the one Pokemon that wasn't Water Ice. Number 16 is Flygon. In XD, I knew what Flygon was because of the Pokemon Go game. I had played Pokemon Go and then played XD, and I think Flygon in both the Great League of Pokemon Go and the XD game is a beast in that game. Earthquake spam on Flygon is so good. I used it with Salamence to win 100 trainer battles in a row, and I think I've used it to battle more than 300 trainers in Mount Battle in XD, so I definitely have some good experience with Flygon. Though the only thing is that I wish that its competitive viability was also a little better. Number 15 is Omastar. I love this design and used it to beat the Kanto League. I just wish I could use it more in other games, or if it gets a Mega Evolution like Aerodactyl, though it is very hard to train up since you get it so late on Cinnabark, or I meant Blaine's Island or whatever. It's so late that I had to train it up, but it was definitely worth it because I like the Pokemon and its looks. Number 14 is Magneton. I like Magneton a bit better than Magnezone because Magnezone isn't very cute when it evolves, and Magneton is. I think if Magnezone was a separate Pokemon from Magneton, I'd probably like Magnezone better. I definitely wanted to use Magneton in the Leaf Green Kanto League, but I dropped it for Zapdos because I was being stubborn and I didn't want to use Zapdos and make the game easier, but it was so hard beating the league the very first time. I was like, yeah, screw this, and ditched it to get Zapdos. It definitely made the Elite Four easier. Okay, so future Ben here. There is a Pokemon that I forgot to add on the list because honestly I forgot that it was a Pokemon, and that is Dreadnought. I would put this Pokemon above Magneton because its design is very cool, and I used it in my first Sword and Shield playthrough, and I think I beat Leon with it, and I just think that its snapping turtle design and the way that it can extend its neck is super cool. Okay, so if this was a tier list, the last 6 would be like A- tier range, I guess. The next 6 would be A+, but just not good enough to be S+ tier, like perfect Pokemon, no downsides. Starting off, the A tier is Ceruledge. When Scarlet and Violet had just come out, I had seen Ceruledge and Armarouge, and I knew Ceruledge was so much better than Armarouge. Sword guy with swords for hands, being a ghost and fire type is really good. Plus, I rarely use fire types at all in my playthroughs because I don't generally like the looks of them, but Ceruledge was an exception. In Scarlet and Violet, it took me to the league, and I beat the champion with it. One time I was in a raid battle, and I was gonna catch one, and I had no clue it was shiny, because one, Ceruledge's shiny does not change, like, at all, barely. I think its flame does, and maybe its eye glow, but it barely changes. And so since in Terra raids, it doesn't show you if it shines or if it's shiny. So I was just catching it for the fun of it. So I catch the Ceruledge in the Terra raid, and then I'm like, yo, it's shiny. And so I was so lucky that I got a shiny random in a Terra raid, especially since its shiny barely changes. One of my top favorite starters is Swampert because he's like close second of my favorite starters. I love Mudkip, and Swampert is very good in lower powered restriction formats, like where there's no legendaries at all. It's definitely good, maybe with its Mega and on Rain teams, and I love Rain teams. I made a whole team with Rain with some of my favorite Pokemon. I kind of wish Swampert was just better and had a higher base stat total that it could use, but it's still pretty solid in VGC. The reason Swampert isn't very high or higher on this list is because the Sapphire cartridge I have is fake, and after finishing the game, I learned it was fake. Well, I knew it was fake when it couldn't transfer Pokemon from there to my Diamond save, so I was a little sad with that, so that's why it's not higher. Miraidon and Kyogre share a spot at number 11, and I'll explain. I love playing Pokemon Competitive VGC, and in the double restricted format, I have a pretty good Rain team that I made with this core of Pokemon. Both designs are really good, one being futuristic, and I love futuristic things. And Kyogre is also blue, which I like that. And I love its its Primal. And they are very strong in their respected regions and lore, and in VGC. Another Pokemon On my rain team is Arcaludon. I have never gotten the shiny, but I think the shiny is very good. I put Arcaludon on my team because his signature move, Electro Shot, is 1 turn in the rain and raises its special attack before it attacks. So basically you're getting a 1.5 times attack to your Electro Shot, which is probably a reason why they never made Arcaludon Electric Dragon or Electric Steel, because it would be way too powerful. So that's kind of the downside to it. Its Electro Shot just doesn't stab, but it definitely snowballs if you get too many off. Number 9 is Kingdra. I really love its design, and I think it's pretty good in lower power levels, especially with the ability Swift Swim. I never played with Kingdra for a full playthrough of a game because it's basically version exclusive to Fire Red, and I would have to trade, which means you can't trade until the end of the game, and it would just be pointless to have a Seadra. So that's definitely a downside to Kingdra. Number 8 is Dracovish. I love its typing and design and its appearance in the anime. I love that it always bites onto Ash's head every time it comes out of its Pokeball, and its voice in the anime is so cute. Okay, the last 7 would be considered the S+ tier. There's like basically nothing wrong with these Pokemon, and they're amazing. So starting off, the S tier is Shadow Lugia. If you watched my last part of my XD, you know exactly why I like the game, because I talked about it at the end of it. Shadow Lugia is very cool in design because it actually changes in how it looks, not just having the shadowy aura around it. Though I'm pretty sure it would have enough aura, it doesn't need the shadowy aura. When people say don't judge a book by its cover, I would not listen. I always judge the book by its cover. When I first discovered this game, in my basement drawers, I looked at the Shadow Lugia and thought, dang, that's a cool Pokemon. And so I played it on the GameCube, and it took me like 5 years to beat the game because I got to Fennec City and didn't know what to do after that. And so I just kind of dropped the game for a while. And I do wish they brought Shadow Lugia back for something. Like, I know it's in the Switch too, but I'm not sure if you can move the Pokemon from the digital game of XD to home. Even if you could, it just feels way better to play the game on a 22-year-old game, and it just feels way better on the GameCube. Right now, it's sitting in Diamond, waiting to go to home once I get a Pokemon Black or White game cartridge, and I'm really hoping that it can go all the way to home, so then I can have like a 20-year-old Pokemon in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, or Pokemon Champions. Hopefully it gets better for VGC so I could use it. Number 6 is Salamence. When I first started playing Pokemon Go, I saw this Pokemon on someone else's screen and thought it looked so cool. It's blue and red, and I love those colors. And I evolved it, and I also used it in the Go Battle League. It's okay, but it's super slow. In ZA, though, I think it's also very slow in that, and I kind of hate that. I kind of hate the battle system, but I hate the catching system way more. When I played my Pokemon Violet playthrough for the first time, I got Salamence really early, trained it up, and then used it to beat the league. But then I moved it like a bunch of Pokemon from there to home, and so I didn't know that one that I used to beat the league. I accidentally traded it as like a mystery trade. Felt so bad after that, but it didn't have that much of a impact on me, so I'll be fine. Number 5 is the other Gen 3 pseudo-legendary, Metagross. I love its robotic design and its shiny, though I never used it in a playthrough because every single stupid time you can't get Metagross till the post game or like in a DLC. It's so dumb. In ZA, I was going to use it, but it was so late into the game, there was no point in trying to catch it and waste my time training it up. But I do have one now, thank goodness, and I'm trying to get a shiny one in that game. But when they did the pseudo-legend outbreak, I got, like, not even joking, 6 or 7 Metagross shinies, and 2 of them I'm using, or 1 of them, I'm using in a Trick Room team right now. And I think it's okay, but it has definitely fallen off in recent years because of power creep, and it lost its resistance to Ghost and Dark. So it definitely got worse and worse, but hopefully with Champions coming out, it's going to be like way better with its Mega. Or in ZA, it's probably better with its Mega. Number 4 is the creator of the universe, Arceus and Giratina. I love the lore of both of these Pokemon, and I made Legos of both of them. What do you think of them? They aren't great in VGC, and they come too late to actually contribute to anything, except Giratina in Platinum, which is kind of why they place lower than my next two. Number 3 is Dialga&Palkia. These guys actually contribute to the game, being right before the last gym, before the league, before the champion, so they have a couple battles to actually be useful in. I love this duo since Dialga is blue, and I really love blue Pokemon. Palkia is a water type, and I love that. I even made Legos of them as well. They aren't too good in competitive either, because you have a bunch of other competitive Pokemon that are better, so they don't really have a good chance to shine. And since they're restricted Pokemon, the only other restricted Pokemon will be legal when they are, which means since those better restricted Pokemon will be used more, no one's going to use Dialga&Palkia. But I think they have like kind of good niches. They're definitely better looking and have better lore than Arceus and Giratina. It's fitting that they got an origin form in Arceus, and I like that. Though I didn't really like Dialga's. I think I liked it a little bit more than Palkia's, but both were eh. They could have been better. Okay, number 2 is Greninja. If you have watched my Legends ZA playthrough, you know exactly that I like this Pokemon. It's cool enough without its Mega form, but with its Mega and its Ash Greninja form, it has so much aura. He is aura farming so much in the anime. I also loved its bond with Ash, being my favorite character in the Pokemon anime. When Ash reunited with Greninja, I was so happy, especially when it cooked Lucario in like 2 seconds flat. Though, I'm still really salty that Greninja lost to Charizard. That was so annoying and dumb, and it made me so mad when I watched that for the first time. Okay, now we get to my number 1 slot. If you have been watching my videos, or know me pretty well, I guess personally, then you know who my number 1 Pokemon is. It's Gastrodon. Gastrodon is very cute and is good at VGC. I will admit, Gastrodon is not as good in Scarlet and Violet as other Pokemon like Fluttermane or Raging Bolt or, you know, all those Urshifu. But it has won the World Championships 2 times, along with the 5 good placements. I think it's won a couple regionals. I'm not even that sure. But it used to be super good, especially when Kyogre was running through the game. I really wish the eye on top of it wasn't there, but I usually just try and ignore that. But what I really wish is that I really hope they give Gastrodon something. An evolution, a regional form, a split evolution, a mega evolution, a G-Max form. I don't care what they give it, as long as it's good, cute, cool, something. I need Gastrodon to get something in the next like 10 years, or else I'm gonna lose faith. Plus, its in-game cry is honestly super cute. I have used Gastrodon in my Pearl team, my Violet team, my Sword team, my Shining Pearl team, and Arceus. I've used it in every game that I could use it for, but it's honestly a good thing that I didn't have Gastrodon for ZA, because I would have had 4 of my party Pokemon being water types, and my brother was talking about how I need to have some diversity, and I'm like, no, I just like my water type. But it would have been bad if Gastrodon had been on the team, because I would have never stood a chance against Venusaur. Plus, I do like using other Pokemon without having to feel like I have to use Gastrodon sometimes. Hopefully, in Gen 10, Gastrodon can be good again in VGC, and he'll be in Gen 10, but I really hope it's going to be in Gen 10 and good for Gen 10, like VGC-wise. I hope you liked my top 20 favorite Pokemon list, and I want to know your top favorites. Leave a comment of your favorite Pokemon down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!